Just take a deep breath because we're live now. So, hello everyone. Welcome back to C.H.A.I Together. I am your host and founder, Prativa Day. You are tuning in for your cup of courage, hope, and imagination today, and my cup is really, really full. As I've been away for 2 months now, overflowing my own cup so I can deliver to you all in this community. Today, I have with me a very nice gentleman that I've come across, thanks to Miss Jury Love, Mr. Daniel White. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, and thank you for having me on today.
Yeah, and your shirt's still awesome. So let me go on and tell the viewers a little bit about you because I love your bio. So Daniel is a writer and a traveler. He has been on a medicine journey, traveling the world for a few years, collecting pieces of himself on the way and learning more about healing and his truth. I really like that. Daniel enjoys writing, singing, dancing, yoga, nature, and laughter with friends. He also believes that humankind can heal from any trauma through loving presence and practices. Whoa. So when did you come to realize that?
I think it was recently. It was recently after a long process of a lot of suffering and enduring a lot of trauma, recognizing that I had to take care of the trauma before I could live fully and participate fully in life.
I really like that. Do you mind sharing with the viewers where you are right now?
Yeah, I'm in Oregon right now, Roseburg, Oregon, just because it was a spot on Airbnb and I needed a place to lay low for a week, or high as it were. I'm kind of on a hill. But yeah.
I really like it. So do you mind sharing how old you are?
32.
32. You said you were suffering. So are you able to share how long you were suffering for before you started living?
Yeah. Well, I think that when someone starts on the medicine path of healing, then it's easy for me to look back and say, oh, I've been suffering my entire life and I didn't realize it in that sense. Like, compared to the healthy habits I have now, diet, exercise, and following my joy, as it were, then I can look back at adolescence and childhood and say I wasn't pursuing peak health. I wasn't living my fullest expression, that kind of thing. But I would say that the journey into spirituality and medicine started when I was 18, with a plant medicine that really changed my path and got me into Buddhism, meditation, yoga, and on from there.
Is it ayahuasca?
That was mushrooms.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not ayahuasca.
No, 2 years ago I got into ayahuasca, and I'm still in that path. Now I'm just beginning to learn with her. Yeah.
There's a few things to discuss here. So let's go into your childhood and adolescence. So do you come from a family of trauma? Is that where the trauma started, your family?
Well, yeah, I mean, I have a great family, two parents who are still together, and very loving people, very kind and very wise. And yes, I have a more subtle look at trauma, I think, than most people in our society. And yes, I see trauma in my family rooted back generationally through time. Just the fact that I think a lot of people can relate with this, that our ancestors, that we don't know who they were, that they were displaced from some land somewhere at some time by some person with bad ideas and a lot of aggression, and by unhappy circumstance had to go to a different land, a different environment with different people, different customs, different culture, and then forgetting who we were before then is a form of trauma. Not knowing who we are and how we belong and how we relate with the world puts us in a confused and hungry state, dissatisfied state. Yeah. So.
Wow. So do you have like-minded friends now? Is that who you surround yourself with? People who do the same things as you?
Yeah, plenty. Yeah, the tribe is everywhere. Yeah.
What sparked you to, become a writer? And tell us about your book. Do you have it on you?
So I don't have the book on me.
It's okay.
Yeah. I've written a few so far, a poetry book and a book,
Wow.
Coming of Age in the Age of Awakening, which is
Wow.
it's another journey that it's the same journey, but that was the beginning of this, you know, wandering
Yeah.
path of finding myself
Wow.
and healing. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I have to say is I'm 28, you're 32, so I'm not that far away from, that peak of 30s. And nothing is staged, as in I'm just asking these questions as I go along, like whatever comes to me. So, do you feel a difference like being in your early 30s now than the lifestyle you were living in your 20s? Does
Mhm.
it make sense to you?
Yeah. I chose my path. I mean, I started early on pursuing who I am, the self-realization path, because that was with the meditation. I was just very interested in the question, who am I and what is my purpose here? And how do I live the fullest expression possible of my truth? And so I got into my core practices of poetry, writing, different forms of expression, and pursuing knowledge, spirituality when I was in my young 20s. And so I was pursuing that through my 20s. And so in my 30s, it continues. I said that I don't care how long it takes, I'll be successful doing what I love to do. Even if it takes 20 years, 30 years, I don't care. Eventually, I will be successful
Yeah.
if I keep on the path. So it's the same practices. And in my 20s, the lesson was that I needed to unlock the baggage that was keeping me spiraling in cycles of despair
Yeah.
and suffering. And so now in my 30s, I'm finally at the point where I feel like I'm free enough now to do what I was born to do.
Wow. And what is that? What do you feel you're born to do?
Write, sing, play music, dance,
Yeah.
yeah, share whatever I am, and whatever I choose to do it as best as I can.
Baba Ram Dass comes to mind when I see you. Do you follow him or any of his teachings?
Yeah, I don't listen to him often, but yeah, he was
Yeah.
important for me. Be Here Now, I read early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His documentary on Netflix, Going Home, that will it can make you shed a tear. Like I really enjoyed that one. But you seem like a free spirit because I'm a free spirit. Do you consider yourself to be one?
Yeah, very free. Yeah.
And I want to ask you, if you don't mind, a
Mhm.
personal question.
Sure.
So I want to ask you, how do you sustain yourself financially? Is that through your writing, or do you have a job, or yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a freelance writer, so a lot of projects are
Mm,
aligned with what I feel is good. I'm working on a book with somebody about Buddhism and quantum
mm,
physics and ecology and the interconnection, the
mm,
wholeness of self and other and life, nature.
mm,
Um, so that's a good project. And then I do other stuff that's kind of academic, helping students with this and that,
mm.
researching and editing and that kind of thing. And some of it feels good, some of it doesn't. And
Right.
it's what I have to do to do what I do. So
Sustain yourself.
yeah,
I don't know if it'll ever be perfect. Like, so do you have your own brand, like your own company yet? Like a
no,
LLC or no? Do you want
no.
to?
Yeah, I will someday.
Mm.
Yeah, when it's time, when I feel like it's time.
Yeah, when you
Yep,
feel it, right?
yep.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
pressure. So I believe someone has a question. Miss Beverly said, how do you handle trauma now, or do you believe that you experience any traumas now?
How do I handle trauma now? Yeah. How do I handle trauma now? I would say
Mm.
carefully. Um, I think it's yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the orientation that I bring to life. The practice of meditation is this gentleness of awareness, and this is presence, and
Mm.
that kind of pervades the entire practices of healing, all of them. Um, just to be with whatever is present, and not to push it away, not to reject it, but to inquire and to say it's okay to be here. It's okay to feel like this. And what is the nature of this? What are you? What did I forget? What haven't I looked at? No matter
Mhm.
what it is, you know.
Yeah.
So yep.
So are you able to share the kind of meditations you do? Are there like specific breathing techniques, or do you follow like ancient meditation techniques like Sadhguru shares, if you know of him?
No, no,
Yeah.
I don't know of him, and I don't have any like secret
Yeah.
meditation practices up my sleeve. Um,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Short
Yeah,
sleeves. Um,
that's so
no,
funny.
yeah, just mindfulness breathing.
Mhm.
I often lay down. I find that it's easier for me to connect laying down because if I sit up for too long, then I just get uncomfortable and my breath doesn't flow. So I lay
Mhm.
down and I just pay attention to the entire body, let it relax and breathe,
Yeah.
and just pay attention to the breath in and out, and just see what's
You
there.
seem pretty relaxed right now. Like you're just dancing and like flowing. Like I just let my hand relax.
Yeah, and that's another
It's so
thing
funny.
is this movement. I'm all
Yeah.
about just freedom of movement, freedom of expression. So with body and with voice. So just use your voices, open up and go whatever,
Yeah.
and move the energy and feel, you know.
Yeah.
So
Because I learned that it's not OM, it's AUM, the
uh,
OM sound. And a lot of people don't know that. And one more myth is that namaste means peace, which it does not. Do you know what is your definition of namaste?
I'm curious if this is what is it the I see the divine in you and I bow to the divine in me bows to the divine in you, something like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's basically another definition of it. It's, we fold our hands. I guess peace, the connotation maybe comes from it because, we fold our hands in peace that, I'm neither below you or above you, that we're equal, like
Hmm.
equality. And I got that from a movie. So, but it's accurate. But it's from I don't know which writer, but it's accurate. And yeah, so you're right about that. So
Okay.
really good. I want to
Namaste.
ask you. I want to ask you, so in this field of, the holistic realm, so have you looked into Reiki or hypnotherapy or other, somatic therapy or psychology at all? Because
Yeah.
somatic is all about movement.
Yeah. I think it's key to get movement because I found that the traumas are actually stored in my body.
Mm-hmm.
The the rejected emotions or the traumatic experiences are the painful places that are calling for attention. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I found Reiki very helpful. I got trained in Reiki level 1, and
Yeah.
you don't need to get trained. Like
Yeah.
everybody has energy flowing through them. We all have
Yeah.
healing in our hands. Um,
Yes.
and so,
Literally.
yeah, it's energy is healing. It wants to move. It wants to heal. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, placing hands on body, I find is very good. If I'm just laying down, hand on the heart, hand on the stomach, um,
Mm.
you know, and send love through
Yeah.
the process, right?
And
Yeah.
it's interesting because, those who don't understand it, right? It's mindset. They may be like, oh, that's foolish, But unless you've done the simple things, it may not be as complicated as, make it out to be, to where you need to go see a doctor or things. Like you can heal at home. Before that was around, people did heal themselves essentially. But, it's whatever one believes, to each of their own. I also want to ask you, regarding your traumas, are you able to share what kind of traumas you had when you were younger?
Um, I think, just, general being afraid all the time of intimidating circumstances in basically all dimensions I can think of in school. I was just terrified by how serious the teachers took it. Like if you didn't get an A, if you
Oh
didn't have
my
the homework
God.
assignment, then yeah,
Really?
you had this overbearing teacher who was looking down at you like you have failed, like you have let down the masters. The elders are
Mm.
displeased. And I took that very seriously. And so I
Wow.
had serious anxiety, stomach aches, and heart, was just pounding, before a
Mm.
test or getting a paper back, and terrified to speak up for getting the answer wrong.
Yeah.
So just, the discipline and punishment of our society. Yeah, and
I
many,
really like
many,
that.
yeah, yeah,
So, do you have kids of your own?
no. And
Would you want to have kids of your own and send them to school?
I don't plan on having kids, but
Wow.
I don't know if I would send them to public school. I'd be reluctant to.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, do you feel? So, I'm gonna ask you a question because of that. So, do you feel that your experience that was very traumatic? So, because of that, if you were, for example, to have a child, you wouldn't send them because of your own experience, that they may have the same. Is that correct?
That and other things.
Yeah.
I disagree with the whole doctrines that are taught in school.
Oh yeah, the westernization of education.
Yeah,
Yeah.
most of it's not even true. Like the
Yeah.
history that we get of
Yeah.
Columbus isn't even true. Thanksgiving's not true.
Right.
So it's just a lot of misinformation. Yeah.
I never enjoyed American history. I'm like, it's the same crap. I was like, I don't see any diversity because I'm South Asian, and we didn't go over anything about that. For example,
Right.
Miss Beverly wants to know, would you start your own school? That's a great idea.
Um, I think I would like to share what I've learned when I feel like I have enough knowledge, and it would
Mm,
be in the fields of creativity and expression and healing. Um,
yeah.
and so yeah, I do hope to pass on what I know someday. Yeah.
Mm. Do you know about expressive arts therapy?
Yeah, a little bit. I've heard of it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Those kind of things would interest you for sure. So
Yeah.
now, you've started this, do you believe, since it's Try Together One Journey at a Time, it's the first time I'm asking a guest this question, but do you believe your journey starts from conception, before conception, or this journey you're on now, the healing part, it's a whole new journey? Like, what are your thoughts on the terminology of a journey?
Mm,
It
yeah.
just came to me. Like, what do you think?
It's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do believe that we are souls on a journey, on a multi-life, infinite
Mm.
journey, and that we choose the context of our birth, and that we choose to come here for a reason and face a set of conditions to heal and learn.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and
I really like that.
yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to add anything else?
I mean, and then in the physical form as who we are, then I think that there are many journeys that we can take.
Mm.
I think it is a journey overall, and I think that there are many times that I've been called to journey. What do we say here?
You
Continuing,
said
yeah,
continuing.
yeah, continuing education. So,
Wow.
yep.
Wow. So when you were younger, did you have any help? The traumas that you mentioned, they're more so, regarding your body, and, they're trapped in your body. The experiences that you had from school and other things, correct?
hmm
So did you ever go to like psychotherapy for this, or did you ever take any clinical medications?
Um, I think my parents were so concerned about. They had so many stomach aches as a kid. I went to like a psychologist once and different doctors to
Mhm.
try to figure out what it was, and it was all
Yeah.
psychosomatic. And Western medicine usually isn't good
Hmm.
at diagnosing the spiritual diseases like that.
Yeah.
Um, and I was lucky to avoid, any serious mind-altering medications like antipsychosis pills or.
That's right.
I know antidepressants maybe work for some people, but then I took my own path of trying to, self-diagnose or self-medicate myself. And so, I was smoking way too much marijuana and trying to save
Mm.
myself through unhealthy sugar habits,
Yeah.
these kind of things. So, who can say, it was
Mm.
harmful
That's a
either
good
way, I
one.
think.
So
Yeah.
what's your approach on marijuana right now? Do you still intake? I,
I am taking a hiatus for a long while. I
yeah.
think it's time for me um, to let go of her
Mm.
for I don't know how long, but for now anyway. Yeah.
Do you feel like that was an attachment? Like you're letting go of attachments?
Yeah, definitely letting go of
Mm.
attachments. Yes.
Wow. So may I ask you, what are some of your favorite books? Do you have any favorite books?
Yeah. Herman Hesse novels come to mind. Siddhartha is an
Yeah.
important one. Yeah. Stranger on a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein. That's a great one. Ursula K. Le Guin, she's got some good ones. Dispossessed, speaking about the trauma of removal, and that paints a very nice utopia picture as
Mm.
well. Yeah.
I'm gonna check it out. So what are some
Cool.
favorite places you traveled to so far?
Let's see. Mexico was good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Tulum, a lot of interesting things happening in Tulum.
Mm.
Um, Thailand was very nice. I know that you said you lived there for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Thailand, very nice people, very warm, welcoming, and a lot of interesting people flocking to places like that. India too. Is that where you're from? India?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
You're just mentioning those because you know.
there's so many great places,
I'm
you know?
joking. Well, those
Yeah.
are the places for, holistic, like Ayurveda and the holistic realm that you're in. So it only makes sense, Thailand, India, like they're very similar. Um,
Hmm.
and you mentioned Buddhism. So are you a Buddhist? Do you
I
consider
mean,
yourself?
I don't identify as a Buddhist,
Hmm.
but I find many teachings from Buddhism very helpful.
Me too.
Yeah.
Do you follow Thich Nhat Hanh, his books?
Yeah, he was my first, teacher
I
in that
love
sense.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took his books with me to Thailand and I still brought him back. Like, it's so interesting to have a book, by him and then to be in like Thailand, even though I know he was Vietnamese. But yeah, it's really interesting. And yeah, I don't know what else I want to ask you.
Hmm.
So what
I could ask
degree?
you a question.
Yeah, you can ask me a question.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's see. I see you on Facebook, on cursory passing images sometimes. But did you just get a degree? Did you just graduate?
Oh, so I am studying suicide prevention. So I am studying suicide prevention trainings. So for youth psychosis, I'm certified, and for ethics and suicide, and a gatekeeper certification to approach people who may be suicidal on how to approach and how not to approach them. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing. But I got my degree last year.
Okay, great. And what
This
was
is
that?
from
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was interpersonal and organizational communication. So speaking how I am to you one on one. I
Hmm.
love to speak and public speaking. My first speech was at Arcadia University at a ceremony when I was 22. I gave a speech, and yeah, so the suicide prevention trainings, anyone can do them. You don't have to be in, the mental health realm. It's just for your knowledge. It's a lot of myths that people think that, oh, you can't prevent suicide. If someone's going to do it, they're going to do it anyway. That's not true. And also asking someone, hey, are you suicidal? It doesn't make them more suicidal. It's just either they can say yes or no or not answer, but there's no harm in asking them. That's been scientifically proven so far. So it's from QPR Institute.
Hmm.
So it's Dr. Quintinet, I believe I'm pronouncing his name right. And it's a lovely training. The first training is about like $20, and it's very short, and it's for you to get your gatekeeper certification
Hmm.
on suicide prevention. That's lasts 2 years. And then the other trainings are a bit more pricier, and they don't expire. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
well, good job. And yeah, thank you for doing that important work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my goal with Chai Together is to bridge the mental health gap globally since I lived in Thailand. And I don't believe someone has that I've had this conversation on here yet, but when I lived there, I taught ESL. I'm ESL certified and I'm a substitute teacher here in Jersey. And, my whole background's in teaching. My family used to have a daycare. So when I was there, I saw there's children who have ADHD, right? And speech disabilities. So those kind of things, and them to not have the necessary tools unless they go to Bangkok, which is very pricey. And a lot of the rural families cannot afford, treatment and things. So those kids are just getting beat on, corporal punishment. Even though it's illegal in Thailand and India, it's not something anyone can do about because teachers are like gods there. So
Mhm.
whatever the teachers do, the parents are okay with because they're parents for that time frame when they're at school. So that's what they believe in. So even if it's illegal, corporal punishment, it just tends to happen to students who have disabilities, like whether it be autism. Whatever your approach is on that, but they need help, like one-on-one assistance, right, like a personal teacher, but they don't offer those services there. So that made me want to go into school psychology, but then I started Chai Together, and I just started speaking to people and have others share their stories, because it's really important to know what people went through, to know that you mattered, like while you were here, and that no one's alone. Because I don't know if you know my story, but for 12 years I suffered from suicide and clinical depression, and I'm 28. So I was suffering all throughout, my teens and 20s until last year when I got help. So it's really important because you don't know, when you can cross to the other side. So it's important to stop people from doing that. So yeah, it's all.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, yeah, I'll have to have you on a podcast show to dive more into your history.
Oh, wow. Oh, you have a podcast too?
Someday. Not
Oh,
yet. Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't know that.
In the quantum line, it's already happened. So,
Yeah.
it's coming. Yeah.
I think it's really incredible, the way you're living. This is how, essentially, I'm sure a lot of people want to live like more relaxed and, all, more holistic. But most people just don't know how. They're like, I have to do this, all this stress, responsibility. But it's like, you don't have to accumulate those thoughts or things. I consider myself a minimalist. I don't want to label, but I follow minimalism. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have many things. I can pack my stuff in one bag, like a small bag, and be good to go. Like I don't own anything that I'm attached to. And I started my minimalism journey, I think about 3 years ago. So a lot of people may not know that, but yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
How about you? Are you?
Yeah, good job on that. Yeah, I find that one thing I'm grateful for is that I've simplified my life, and I never really gave it a chance to become complex with relationships or families or career success and material accumulation. So it's always been simple to the point where I can focus entirely on what I want to do.
Oh, wow.
And I know even on the extreme of being like ultra individualistic, like I have no attachments, responsibilities, like to family or to friends, to community, to people, in a sense. I think that less is more in a lot of ways, so that I can focus on what's really important to me. Yeah.
Wow, I am not great with that when it comes to focusing. You said you don't make it complicated so you can focus on one thing. I think it's because you meditate more as well. Like it's part of your daily routine, right?
Yeah.
That's why your focus grew. Yeah.
Yeah. I think meditation's a good practice because it it trains the awareness. Yeah. Stuff
I don't mean to
does not
distract you.
No worries. Yeah. I think meditation, it reveals the stuff inside, the voices, the arguments, the desires, the fears. Meditation shines a light on the inner stuff, and then you can start clearing out. I can clear out the house and then just live in that simplicity of flow, and then put my full attention rather than being pulled downstream.
So let me ask you this question. If I can't even remember it. I feel like as you were talking, like I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I remember now. So have you cried during meditation yet? Like, yeah.
Yeah. Meditation and not meditation. Sure. Yeah. What's your what do you think about crying in meditation?
So I researched it, and it's emotional trauma. I was releasing emotional trauma. I know, but I had a lot of emotional trauma last year, a lot of loss. And so when I took Sadhguru's inner engineering program, so when I was going through that tough time early 2020, when I came back from Thailand to here to the States, Sadhguru's videos, right, not even his program, helped me. Like I was calm, and I would meditate, and I would just focus so much on what he says and remain calm. And after that, I took his inner engineering program, and it's 7 days, like back to back. You're not supposed to miss a day, hour and a half every morning after you shower. And I've never had such a deep meditation where I visualize as deeply as I had with his guided meditation and non-guided. The music that they have really took me into, let's say, like another realm, to where I was able to cry, and seeing the pictures of the charity work that he does, and me having C.H.A.I Together be that as a goal, to be as global as him, because he helps build schools and does a lot of work in India. And for me, to be able to see that for myself, that also made me cry, that I'm doing good work as well. So, but it was that meditation. No other, meditation has made me cry except for his. So, yeah. I think your screen's stuck. Can you hear me? Okay. Dan, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? I believe so. What's happened?